Bonjour! Wanted to come back and talk about les questions. So we've been able to answer some questions in French, but now we're going to be asking the questions. There are several different ways to do this in French. The first choice we have is simply by using our voice. We can simply ask, instead of saying, vous ne parlez pas anglais, right? I'm just saying that. But I can ask the question just by changing the inflection in my voice. Vous ne parlez pas anglais? And so I'm going up at the end, and you can hear that, and that automatically tells my listener that it is a question. The next thing that we can do, number 2, is add the little phrase, n'est-ce pas? So for example, we have, il aime la musique, n'est-ce pas? So I'm just going to say my sentence, il aime la musique, and then I'm going to add that, n'est-ce pas? And again, my voice is going up at the end. And again, if I just wanted to use my voice, I could say, il aime la musique. So my voice is going up. Or I could say, il aime la musique, n'est-ce pas? Either one would tell my listener that I'm asking them a question. The third choice is to use the phrase, est-ce que? So with est-ce que, we can put that just at the beginning of our sentence, and it will look like this. Est-ce qu'il étudie la musique? You notice with est-ce que, the E disappears and there's an apostrophe because il begins with a vowel. So our il and elle, we're going to see that with. With tu, you wouldn't. Okay, it would be the Q-U-E on the est-ce que, on the que part. You would keep that E because tu begins with a T, which is a consonant. So, est-ce qu'il étudie la musique? Now I've asked a question using est-ce que. So, n'est-ce pas, number 2 goes at the end. Est-ce que, number 3 goes at the beginning of your question. The final way to ask a question in French is using something called inversion, okay, where we're actually changing the word order of my question, of my statement to make a question. For example, we have es-tu étudiant en philosophie? So es-tu, are you, instead of tu es étudiant. So I could use my voice and say, tu es étudiant en philosophie? I've asked my question using my voice. Or I could say, tu es étudiant en philosophie, n'est-ce pas? Again, I'm using my n'est-ce pas at the end. I'm still asking a question. But I'm using tu es. Same thing with est-ce que. Est-ce que tu es étudiant en philosophie? So I'm keeping that subject-verb, okay? But if I want to not use my voice, not use n'est-ce pas, and not use est-ce que, I can invert or change the word order of my subject and my verb, and that will make it a question. So now I can say es-tu. So now I have es-tu étudiant en philosophie? So I'm asking a question. Couple notes about this. They have several different things that they mention on page 77 in the book, and you'll want to look over those. When you have things like il and elle, there is this T that just appears, okay? It's simply for pronunciation because the French don't want to say ml, okay? It doesn't flow as well. Mtel flows much easier on the tongue. So they add that T, doesn't mean anything. It's simply for pronunciation. So aime-t-elle les jupes? And then we would say when we respond, oui, elle aime les jupes. The T completely disappears in my response. It's only there for pronunciation. Another thing to note is if you're using somebody's name, like Paul. I would say his name, Paul, so you know who I'm talking about, and then I'm going to change my word order. I'm going to do verb, subject. Est-il sincère? So it will sound like, Paul, est-il sincère? So I have his name there, and then I'm sort of repeating it. Paul, is he sincere? And that's an important thing that you'll want to do as well, is have that repeating if you have that name. The final thing I want to mention that they also mention in your book is je, which I have over here on this slide in this box, je. And that's simply to say most of the time je is not used when you change word order, okay? Yes, you will hear it. Of course, it's French. There's exceptions. So with je, you will hear it inverted in informal language when you speak with speakers. There are certain phrases that, yes, we do use inversion. But for the most part, with je, we don't use inversion. We usually use est-ce que. So you can ask your question, but just use it with the est-ce que and then your je after that. So you're not going to invert your subject and your verb. I hope that helps and clears up any misunderstandings with these 4 different ways that you can ask questions in French.